Oh, my beloved Lord, I'm immensely grateful to you for having blessed me with this rare opportunity of getting the highest wisdom and following the highest endeavor pursuit in my life. I seek your blessings. My salutations to the entire Guru Parampara who have passed on this knowledge to us. Om Tat Sat. The meaning of the second prayer is, may we all be protected, may we all be nourished, may we all work together with great energy, may our intellect be sharpened, may our study be effective. Let there be no animosity amongst us. Peace, peace, peace in our lives. So today we are on the discourse 16, the 23rd of April 2020, a Thursday. The Hindu calendar goes as follows. Sharvari Nama Samvatsara Uttarayana Vasanta Rutu Chaitra Masa Krishna Paksha Amavasya Guruvasare. That is Thursday. Okay, before I get into the discourse, I have a small announcement to make. As they say, Deham Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. Deham means body, Khalu Dharma Sadhanam means it can only achieve various pursuits in life if your body health is strong or gives you the necessary support in achieving whatever you want to achieve. So, I would say tomorrow we can do something differently. Incidentally, the Chartered Accountants Association of India, this southern region, Bengaluru, they are organizing a yoga webinar. So I have been invited to teach yoga online through webinar to the chartered accountants of pan India basis throughout the country. They log in. Roughly this notification goes to about 20,000 chartered accountants in the country, and probably I think 500 or 1,000 may log in to participate for the online training course. So this Sukshma Vyayama Yoga, most of my friends know this, but others who do not know, is a very unique kind of a yoga which anybody who can stand for about 35 or 40 minutes can do it. And it primarily starts from the brain till your toes. Step by step there are various exercises. It's not exercising, it is energizing your body. So this is the beauty of this particular yoga, and I have been into various fields of fitness exercise, and I found this as a comprehensive, holistic, and maximum benefit for minimum amount of time. So tomorrow this will be on webinar, and I can share the link with whoever is interested. And I would suggest this is from 6:30 to 8 in the evening. So tomorrow they would not, I would not be able to take the class since I would be busy in that. And I would request all of you all can join, get an inkling of how it is done. And already my colleague students who are doing with me, they can be very well with their sports fit on. They can do the exercises with me so it's like we're doing together. Okay, so this is tomorrow's program. I think I'll share the link independently, because whatever we write over here, it doesn't stay. Once we log out, everything goes off. So I'll share independently. Whoever has my number or Padma's number can reach to us, and we can share that with you all. Okay. Now we get into our session. Okay. See, till now, actually if you see up to verse 37, whatever questions Arjuna had asked, most of them were answered. First he was told, don't be sad, Arjuna. You cannot take decision when you are sad. Which means there Lord Krishna is telling us also not to take a decision when you are sad. They say don't take a decision when you are extremely sad or when you are extremely happy or when you are angry. Never take a decision. That's not the right time. So here he says, no, you should not take a decision. And sorrow is due to the death of your elders, which he says, Ashocha Nanvashochasva, meaning the inside the soul is immortal. Why are you crying for that? Second, he again says, these people whom you so call them as worshipful, like the Dronacharya and the Bhishmacharya, Pitamaha, I know they are worshipful, but here they are warriors of the opposite army. You can't look for your relationships over there. That's not the right way of looking into your task or an endeavor. You are saying you are committing a sin. Then when he talks on these lines, that I'm, Lord Krishna, I'll be committing a sin. Please, I don't want to commit a sin and go to hell. Then he says, okay, I have explained to you enough that there is no sin over here, but still, now I'll teach you, even while doing a duty, it may appear that you are committing a sin. But if you are performing your duty on the lines of Dharma, it is not a sin. And he says, now I'm going to teach you Karma Yoga. Now, when I said this, committing a sin, okay, now there is a terrorist, and on the other side you have a soldier. Now both are with a gun, both are shooting, both are killing. So which means this act, taking a gun and killing somebody, is a sin. Up to that extent we are convinced. But now what was the attitude behind the act? A soldier was shooting or using his gun and shooting somebody, killing somebody with all the josh he could have to protect his nation. And the attitude of a terrorist of doing the same ditto act was for their selfish needs. So that's where now the attitude comes, and he is going to explain, Lord Krishna will explain in detail, and I tell you, this is such a great secret which is revealed, and I pity those who do not know this. You will see for yourself, like, okay, by doing what you get what? The amount of benefit you get just by doing a simple thing, which you cannot have any kind of a ratio in terms of benefit or earning or wealth creation. That he'll come to. We'll get to understand that. So another example, a doctor uses a knife to cut the abdomen of somebody, let's say, and a robber also uses a knife to stab somebody. See, both are doing the same act, knife and cutting the stomach. But intention, robber is doing for his selfish needs and the doctor is doing for the good of the patient. So it may appear like that. It is not that, Arjuna. You are thinking that you're killing and you're going to incur sin and all that. But now I'll tell you, you have that wrong understanding. I'll explain to you. So then he goes to the next verse, 39 of chapter 2. Can you please repeat after me? एषा ते विहिता सांख्ये बुद्धिर्योगे त्विमां शृणु बुद्ध्या युक्तो यया पार्थ कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यसि। बुद्ध्या युक्तो यया पार्थ कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यसि. So he makes a clear-cut statement. Now I am taking into another route. Anything done from the point of karma yoga, which I am going to explain, if you are keeping that attitude in mind, whatever you have done, it will never bind you under the context of karma. So far he has presented the Sankhya Yoga, that is the Jnana Yoga, right? Atma Jnana from different perspectives. He said that. Now he comes to Karma Yoga. And let's understand the rules of karma. Anyway, next chapter is Karma Yoga only, chapter 3, which is completely of Karma Yoga. I'll take you threadbare all the rules of Karma Yoga. How to win over the shackles of karma, whatever you're doing. Any action you do has a result. If you have done good karma, you will get punya. If you get punya, you will get joy or a good feeling about whatever you have done. That is the result in life. Basically, joy and happiness. If you have done a wrong karma, you will get papa, and the result of which will be suffering, pain, agitation in various ways. Now, this is on a continuous basis because every human is doing action on a continuous basis. Only when he goes to sleep, when he's in the dream state, there is no karma because the intellect is not functioning. The intellect meaning where the decisive power is there. Kartrutva and Bhoktrutva Bhava, what we call. That will be explained further. Since that is not there, so whatever you do in your dreams, there is no punya or papa. You might have done millions or crores of charity, you will not get punya. You might have done the most heinous act, you will not get papa for that. And the same goes with the deep sleep state. So wherein in deep sleep state, completely your mind is shut off and your body is also shut off. So you have that sleep where I slept like a log. So these two states you don't have. The rest of the time you are constantly hitting on action. Something or the other you're doing. So which means now you already have a bundle of sanchita karma. Sanchita karma is the capital account, or where you have accumulated over millions and millions of births, which is computed on a regular basis from jiva to jiva, life to life, and it starts with giving you a life, where you are born, to whom you are born, how you are born, and when is the jiva going to die. All these are decided, and it is like an arrow which has already been shot. It cannot be taken back. So we are all living in that situation based on the prarabdha. Now our intention is, we don't want further accumulation of this papa or punya. Reason being, any amount of karma you do and the papa and punya gets accumulated, you have to take a rebirth to either enjoy the punya or the good deeds what you have done, or suffer for the bad deeds what you have done. And both cannot be swapped. Like say I have 110 punya and I have 100 papa. so give me 10 punya and the game is over. No, you'll have to enjoy 110 and suffer for 100. And that could be again millions and millions of lives. This is very clearly written in scriptures. So which means our biggest worry is how to take care of that big bundle of sanchita karma, they call. How do I take care of that? How do I manage that? And second is, on a daily basis I'm doing papa and punya, meaning what? This is an endless cycle. All that will be answered here now. Beautiful this is actually. Okay, you all please listen carefully, and any doubts you all make a note. You all can type it immediately also before you all forget, because this is like a constitution, a law, a rule book. You have to understand how it is, and you can't question. Can you question if I throw a ball up, why does it come down? It's nothing but gravitational force. In the same way, if I do a good deed, you get punya, and which gives you joy and pleasure. Papa, suffering. So now here Lord Krishna says, I am going to teach you this, O Arjuna. Listen. Now actually he is basically telling us, which I've been reminding again and again. He's telling us, and we have to take all these takeaways for leading a life of bliss, joy, prosperity. See, we have already come into this world, and it's not in our hands to go from here. So till then, let's be joyful, peaceful, and lead a fulfilling life. That much we can do, no? So we may again say, Arey, what, my prarabdha is there for all this? Then how can I lead a peaceful, joyful life if I am destined to take sorrow? That also a solution is given over here. That is the first question which comes. You say there is a sanchita where there is a bundle of backlog of my papa and punya for which I am destined to suffer or enjoy. How can I get rid of that suffering? Arjuna, I'll tell you. Don't worry. I know what you want, because I'm your creator, right? Okay. So now, here, what happens if we understand this particular karma yoga? He says karma yoga is about the nature of duty, the work, the attitude which it is done. I'm just giving you a preface. Your attitude, your altitude in life depends on your attitude. How high you go in life is just decided by your attitude. Now I'm going to teach you, Arjuna, with what you should unite, meaning yoga. Yoga means yuj, join. Yuj means join, the root word of yoga. Join with what? Now you join yourself with karma. Action-oriented yoga, karma yoga, will give you that purity of mind which takes you to the higher planes, with which you will break the bondage of your previous karma. Means the karma phala which you have accumulated prompts you to act, which prompts you, meaning to do karma again. That is karma bandhan, no? You have done earlier, then again you do, then again that becomes a vasana, then again it goes into your causal body, then again you take a birth and you keep doing the same thing. So this karma bandhan will be broken by this knowledge of karma yoga. What you have to do? I did not do this karma for my joy. I did it for the love of God. This is the first dictum. So while you are doing this way, it actually gives you joy. Otherwise, we don't know how much joy we get in doing whatever we are doing. While doing the work, you think of God is the altar of dedication. Make it a silent meditation. Don't think I'm doing it for me or for my wife or for my husband or for my children or for my society or for my friends. They're all there. But first is bring God. That power which is giving you every moment, it is giving you that breath of life. Do we have a chance that you can take another? Can you guarantee yourself the next breath of life I can take? No. So he says, offer it at the altar of dedication and convert it into a silent meditation. See, these are wonderful tactics which are given, which we need to practice and make our life rejoiceful. This karma phala, the third point, it says, this karma phala does not taint you, hence the vasana chain, that is the tendency chain is broken. See, this is another big thing. Otherwise, more and more accumulation in the causal body is happening, no? Every act you do, you develop an liking, kama, kriya, karma, and karma phala and vasana creation. This is the chain. And discovering joy irrespective of the result. I'm going to teach you that also. How you can be joyful. Come what may, whatever happens, come what may, how I can be joyful. Lastly, it purifies your mind with no impurity from outside. This is all the assurances Lord Krishna is giving. And he will now slowly take us into what is this about Karma Yoga. Okay, now shall we chant verse 40, chapter 2 together? Please repeat after me. Neha vikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya ayate mahatto bhayat. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya prayato mahato bhayat. Just that little practice of swalpam. Swalpam means little. Apyasya dharmasya. Little practice of that discipline or righteousness can save you from this terrible fear of birth and death. Meaning, you will get salvation. Now, this particular shloka indirectly answers Kamini's question the other day. What kind of a life I will get after this life? So for which I said, you can get any kind of a life, which is based on the computation of your sanchita karma, and it sets you into a new life. You may go to heaven, and from heaven you can come back as a human, or you can come back as an animal, bird, creature, insect, whatever it is. But here the Lord says, hey Arjuna, you get connected with me. Do this karma yoga. If you have started this practice, now it is my responsibility to give you another human birth where you are endowed with an environment which is fully conducive for you to rise up in life and achieve salvation. He in fact makes in another shloka also, subsequently he guarantees this. So you know why I keep saying we are all fortunate souls is because of this. But it will be highly unfortunate if you have just listened and not practiced anything. So that one has to be careful, and you know what you are getting. So I think all are sensible enough to pursue such high profile dictums in life. So it says, Arjuna, action gives result only on its completion. Listen now. Starting doesn't mean there is a result in action. Correct? You have just started the act. But here, you know, to get result, you have to complete a task. Let's say now I've taken a vow that I'll do a particular home or havan, and which is say I'm for a particular number of days, and or every Purnima or every Amavasya I'm going to do this for 3 or 5 subsequent numbers, but you did 1 or 2 and you stopped. Now, as per the law of karma, it is not that you get punya for the amount of what you have done only and there ends the account. No. You get papa for not doing what you have supposed to do, and nothing, no punya for what you have done. Do we know this? This is the rule and law. So when you do with selfish desires in your mind, selfish in the sense you kamya karma they call, you want to achieve something. Okay, for health I am doing a havan, or I am doing a particular charity for benefit of something, but eventually I don't do it, I don't complete it. There you are subject to papa. And I am telling you, Arjuna, I will protect you from that. That is assurance he gives over here. And remember, if you have connected on the path of karma yoga, you have start, you will get your result, because you are already connected to God. Every second of work you do, you are connected. So you will start getting, he now says, Chitta Shuddhi. Now what is this Chitta Shuddhi? This is purification of mind, which on an immediate basis, it has a tremendous side effect. And the side effect is happiness. What a wonderful side effect. And even if you stop in between, there is no loss. He says, Pratyavayo na vidyate. There is no loss or sin for non-completion of any task. Even if this action is imperfect also, the result is perfect. And swalpamapyasa. Even if you start with very little faith, you still are benefited. So this karma yoga is about taking up one's duty and offer it unto the worship of God. All of us can love God fully, irrespective of our intellectual capacity. You may be very intelligent, mediocrely intelligent, not so intelligent. God says, I don't want your intelligence. I just want your love. I want your dedication. I want your arpan. So all along we studied the knowledge of the self, that is the Sankhya Yoga, where that is the goal. And this Karma Yoga becomes a means to reaching that goal. Action may succeed or fail, but attitude will definitely bear result. Attitude, love of God. See what benefit you have here. So it says, Arjuna, listen to this carefully, and I want you to perfect this. He might have repeated, that is tautology they call, repeating the same thing. He might have done that, but he does it in variations. Lord Krishna does it in variations, and he tries to take you slowly to the next level, because it's again not Arjuna, it is we who are in his mind. Now he comes out with another dictum here. Verse 41. व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः एके कुरु नन्दन बहुशाखा ह्यनन्तश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनम्. Arjuna, you have made a conscious choice of this right decision, which means you're saying, okay, now as per whatever I told you, it means life for God. Then what happens? Your mind will remain in that single pointed determination, unsplintered. A person who is able to go to the highest self, then the foul smell, irritation, limitations of the ego, all such filthy things will not affect a person. So such a person who has made the right choice and who knows to do and act in the rightest manner, he has made the right choice. If you are selfish, your focus is on your ego. Correct? Because you're doing it for me, for me, for me. And outcome will be desire, anger, greed, pride, jealousy. These are all the outcome. Whereas if you do it selfless, where your focus is on worship, you see, you have nothing but happiness. And apart from that, chitta shuddhi, the purity of the mind. And what that does, we'll explain further. So a selfless man who does selflessly is always at peace. And a selfish man is at pieces, is broken always. So far Sri Krishna is talking about the results of Karma Yoga. Now he has spoken about the state of mind. He's still yet to speak about what Karma Yoga is. He's slowly building up. So we said it's Karma Yoga is the decision as to how you want to lead a life. What is the decision? Focus on duty, focus on God. That way. Okay. Now we come to the next verse, 42. Now here, 42, 43 and 44. This is again an eye-opener. You will say, if you see a person who is doing regularly, who is doing puja, who goes to temples, who does home, who does havan, who does charitable work, all this, you will say, अरे बहुत सात्विक प्राणी है ये. He's a very nice person. But here Lord Krishna says this is of no use, because your attitude here is for self-glorification. Behind every task you have a rider. I want this, I want this. So if you are looking for the higher self, this is not going to take you, Arjuna, to the higher worlds. Or if you want to reach me, this is not the place. So I'll read by myself all the three shlokas and I'll tell you the meaning at one go. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pradadantya vipashchitaha vedavadarata partha nanyasdastiti vadinaha कामात् मनः स्वर्गपरा जन्मकर्मफलप्रदं क्रियाविशेषबहुलां भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्यप्रशस्तानां तया प्रकृति ते चेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधो न विधीयते. All three are talking of the same thing. Those who are not wise, they seem to be doing many good things like going to temple, pujas, charitable work, but they have a desire in mind. And what is that desire? For some pleasure. It could be for better health, it could be for prosperity in business, it could be for some more say for the wedding of their daughter, or for children, or for better relationship, something or the other. It is saying you are doing it for your self glorification. Giving up pleasures, etc., nowhere is in the agenda. Desirelessness is not in their agenda or orbit. So God for such people is for fulfillment's sake and not for God's sake. So the whole spiritual endowment is for joy and joy only. So can you imagine this particular statement? So here God is trying to say, look, there is something beyond. He already told us, no, what is the advantage in Karma Yoga? The immediate effect when you dedicate your action and you start a work, the side effect is joy. Are you not getting it there? You're getting joy on an immediate basis. But then why are you going for this? It is not going to take you higher. Today you asked for health, I gave you health, and again after some time that health is not there with you. You asked for money, I gave you money, I gave you prosperity, then after some time there is another calamity and that goes away. Why are you coming to me for these impermanent things? Then in the next verse he says, you will find them fulfilled with desire. Such people, kamatmanaha, they say. They will have plans, they will have goals, they will have targets, or they will say intent, swargapara, intent for heaven. They perform special types of action for pleasure and wealth in this world, and also accumulate wealth for the other worlds by doing so many good deeds. But those actions will give you janma karma phalapradam. They will give you birth and birth again and again. Rather say death and death again and again. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam. These people are attached to wealth and pleasure. So to such people, the statements of the Vedas and the Shruti are such kind where they only attract where I can get something for the immediate pleasure in this life. These people will not have a decisive mind to do duty for the love of God. It's totally absent. In their mind, all these thoughts of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, only this. Moksha is not there. It is only up to dharma, artha, and maybe dharma also here and there. But it is, they want their wishes to be fulfilled. They take recourse to the Vedas, the nice flowery words, and they do actions only for the short-term gains. See, here we have to understand that. What is short-term and what is long-term and what is everlasting. Now God is telling, I want to give you not short-term and long-term. I want to give you everlasting. From when? From this second. When we say short term, what happens in the next, say, 1 year or 2 years? What is medium term, which happens in, say, 3 years? Long term, 5 years. This is a general scale. Everlasting is, it goes beyond the scale. But here he's saying, I'm going to give you right from this moment till everlasting. Can there be a better deal than this? So hence, Arjuna, understand, kamya karma means actions done with desire oriented actions, and karma yoga, which I'm yet to tell you, they will not go together. They are completely like two tracks, railway tracks, parallelly running. Okay. So and then tomorrow he talks about the three gunas, the sattva, rajas, tamas, which we have heard. He talks about that, and then he takes us to the subsequent level.